Russian dictator Vladimir Putin continues his purge of those he considers responsible for the failures in the Kursk region. Colonel General Alexander Lapin, who commanded the defense of the region, has been dismissed. This was reported by the Russian pro-government publication RBC. Lapin is exiled to Tatarstan. There, he takes up the position of assistant to the head of the Russian Republic, which spells the end of his military career. In his new position, Lapin will reportedly be tasked with accompanying participants in the invasion of Ukraine and their families, organizing the recruitment of contract soldiers and assisting with the social and medical adaptation of returning veterans of the so-called SVO. Lapin's name is closely associated with Russia's military failures in the full-scale war against Ukraine. In 2022, he commanded the Central Military District and the Center Group. It was under his command that Russian troops were driven out of the Kharkiv region by a swift attack by the Ukrainian army. In 2024, Lapin was entrusted with the defense of the Kursk region. But here too, the situation turned disastrous. Part of the region fell under the control of Ukrainian forces. The Russians were only able to retake the territory in late April 2025 after 9 months of fierce fighting. The Kremlin was forced to beg troops from North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un as the Russian forces were unable to retake the Kursk region on their own. The general's resignation is a significant indication of how painful the Ukrainian Defense Forces' entry into the Kursk region was for Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. The Ukrainian armed forces demonstrated that Moscow was incapable of defending its borders. Media previously reported that the media blamed General Lapin, who lost Liman, for the failure of the Kursk region defense. The Moscow Times noted the similarity between the August 6, 2024 failure and the one that led to the loss of Liman in 2022 when the Ukrainian armed forces managed to recapture 3,000 square kilometers of previously occupied territory. Now, the Ukrainian army has managed to capture approximately 1,000 square kilometers of territory in the Kursk region. On August 13th, Volodymyr Zelenski stated that 74 settlements were under Ukrainian control. The breakthrough was caused by a weak defensive line and the numerical superiority of the Ukrainian armed forces. The article noted that in 2022, hundreds of enemy vehicles were captured by the Ukrainian army in the Kharkiv region, while military installations in the Belgorod region came under the Ukrainian armed forces' sights. Following a series of defeats along the Balakleya-Liman-Izium line, Lapin was relieved of his post as commander of the Central Military District. Following the defeat in the Kharkiv region, Alexander Lapin assumed command of the defense of the Kursk region, demonstrating that the Russian Ministry of Defense is founded not only on the ideas of atrocities and occupation, but also on nepotism and corruption. The so-called FSB Dacha was attacked in temporarily occupied Crimea. Explosions rocked the area around the Foros Sanatorium, which is linked to Russian intelligence agencies and where Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin has vacationed several times. Russian propaganda media are writing about drone attacks and reporting that the strikes could result in deaths and injuries. The aggressor country's Ministry of Defense, in turn, reports that Ukrainian UAVs were allegedly shot down over the Black Sea and the Crimean Peninsula itself. Returning to Foros and the attack on this facility, there's one important detail. According to Russian media, a private event was scheduled to take place at the sanatorium's restaurant on Sunday, but the establishment's website stated that the restaurant would be closed for special maintenance on September the 21st. Meanwhile, the Telegram channel Krymsky Vita reports, citing its source, that very important guests were at the sanatorium on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Telegram channel Cyber Boroshno published a photo of a fire in the village of Sanatornoy, neighboring Foros. Foros is a resort town on the southernmost coast of the Crimean Peninsula. The alleged target, the Foros Sanatorium, is a luxury resort located near 4 Russian state dachas, country homes of Russia's political elite. Ukrainian drones struck the Foros resort in Russian-occupied Crimea, causing damage and casualties, according to Sergei Aksyonov, head of the illegal occupation government. Aksyonov claimed that several facilities at the resort were damaged in the attack, and that a nearby village school also sustained damage. Debris from downed drones caused a grass fire near the city of Yalta. The Foros resort was purchased in 2016 by the Federation of Trade Unions of Tatarstan, with financial backing from Russian businesses, including the oil company Tatneft. The Federation is likely an intermediary to protect the real owners from international sanctions. Russian President Vladimir Putin has reportedly vacationed multiple times at the Foros resort, which is reported to be linked to the Russian Federal Security Service. Russia has illegally occupied Crimea since 2014, transforming the peninsula into a heavily militarized stronghold to support its war against Ukraine. Ukrainian forces have repeatedly targeted the peninsula with missiles and drones since the outbreak of the full-scale war in 2022. Most recently, Ukraine's military intelligence destroyed 3 Russian Mi-8 helicopters and a radar station in occupied Crimea.
On September 21, aerial reconnaissance units of the primary division of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine for the first time in history destroyed 2 B-12 Chaika amphibious aircraft belonging to the occupying Russian army in Crimea. The B-12 aircraft are equipped with expensive means to combat submarines. Both aircraft, including a Mi-8 helicopter, were destroyed by explosions caused by drone strikes. It should be noted that a little earlier, fighters of the primary division also destroyed 3 Mi-8 helicopters and a $100 million Niboyu radar station in Crimea as a result of explosions caused by drone strikes.